this thing that's in my brain. It keeps me from wanting to go on, but I want some gain. Baby, a little fame. Yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to the 38th installment of the We the Patriots Media Podcast. I am Andrew Grasso. I'm going to be co-hosting along today with Mr. Salvatore Assante. Got a lot to talk about today.
Dude.
I say we hop right into it. What do you think?
Dude, these little kids across the street are about to catch a beating.
There's little kids right outside this
catch a
window.
beating.
This window's open because we just this room. And
That's it.
all right. So anyways, so we just closed the window.
That's taken care of.
That's taken care of. All right. So yeah, let's hop right into it.
Dude, what do we got in the docket today? It's been I got a squeaky chair today.
Yep.
That'll be enjoyable. So it's been a little bit since you've been on.
It has been.
What's on your mind?
A lot that's not necessarily relevant to what this podcast is about. So,
Dude, podcast whatever the fuck you want it to be.
well, let's start with some politics.
That's what you want to talk about? All right, what do you got?
That's the root of this show.
Okay. So what kind of politics you want to talk, Mr. Andrew?
Trump indictments.
Trump indictments. Dude, okay. They seem like they're coming out like deck of cards.
There was more yesterday.
Every day.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google how many he's up to now. How many indictments?
So while you're Googling
does
that,
Trump
I just
have?
want to know what your thought is just in general on what the game plan is behind so many. I think I talked about it in my last solo show, but what'd you think?
Well, first of all, it says now he's up to 78 criminal charges. That's what Bloomberg is saying.
That's a number.
That's absurd.
That's a number.
That's
to say the
absurd.
least.
That is absolutely absurd.
78?
That is I'm sorry, but this is scary. This is scary because, I mean, at this point, it's obvious that this is an attempt to suppress the opposition by the bureaucracy and by a certain political faction. That's what this is at this point.
Do you think it's cover up for
otherwise.
what's been coming out on Biden?
I think so. I think that has to do a lot with it, and I think it's definitely. I don't know if that's the primary reason, but I think it's definitely a reason for them to keep pushing.
Just keep
these
slapping it
because
on,
it only
just like the
it only
number.
helps them in
Yeah.
what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And one thing, like
they complement each other basically. They suppress Trump even more.
the one thing that the one characterization I love of Trump, and this comes from Shapiro, this is one of my favorite characterizations that there is he says that the more mud you sling at Trump, he's a mud monster. So he just becomes more muddy, and he just gets more and more into the thick of it. Like
Pretty much, yeah.
So the more indictments that you're throwing, like you've already soured this apple. He's already been labeled as criminal, according to you guys.
Yeah,
The more
according
you,
to some people.
the
So
more you add
do
on
it,
to
the
it,
more, the more he's just gonna not embrace it, but use it to his advantage to
Correct.
actually come out better in the end. And I think what's that called? Being anti-fragile, or where you don't get hurt under times of pressure. You actually you're a diamond, and
You're a
under
diamond
pressure,
under pressure.
Correct. You become a diamond under pressure.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean that's what Trump is, man.
Yeah, so that's what it's looking like, and the problem is you keep giving him more and more opportunities to shine. If you just shut up and try to make him make the moves, that's when he seems to make the mistakes. When he has to force the action and go on the offense and come up with material, that's when he just comes up with stuff out of left field, out of his ass, because he doesn't actually have great concrete ideas about policy coming from his head. He enacts it based off of the opposite of who's coming at him, like personally. That's how he directs his moves.
That's a fair point, actually. Like that's how he directs maybe his policy, but maybe that's because he sees policies outwardly that haven't worked out so well. And
Correct.
Like maybe he identifies certain ones, like say immigration, for example. Well, he sees that open borders are quite dangerous, in fact.
Correct.
And then he kind of puts that at the forefront.
Especially more
of his
so than the
campaign
president
message.
that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And the presidents that are running just otherwise.
But like he identifies that as a core issue, so he puts that at the forefront of his message.
Right.
Immigration reform, border security. But no, I mean, I think if you were to ask him about something that maybe isn't as contentious, I think he will still have an opinion on it. And I think he's the kind of person who does have reasonable solutions for things. So I think if you were to ask him about something like, something not as
politically charged, right.
or just something that's not as much of an issue now. Like, so 6 years ago, gay marriage was still a big issue. Like,
right.
Not really in today's,
Right.
If you were to ask him about that, like, he would still give his stance on it, and with reasons why, not just because he's
right. But that's because I agree. Because
he still has his reasons. It's
system.
not just he thinks for himself is what I'm trying to get at. Like, he's not just going to have his advisors give him everything.
So let's get off of Trump because I got a question on Biden before we move on. Do you think he gets? In my opinion, there's no reason why he should not be impeached already. His son is being charged under his own DOJ with federal crimes. Like, at that point, it seems like you're kind of got a conflict of interest that can't be avoided.
And I agree. But I don't know if a conflict of interest is either a high crime or a misdemeanor that would be grounds for impeachment.
No, it's more of a you need to resign. It's more of a his party needs
too.
to come to that. So my question to you is, does any of that happen?
No,
or
because
I don't think so either.
They still think that Biden is their path in 2024 and the only way to keep Trump out of office again. So by making that concession at this point, I mean, if they were going to do it, now's the time to do it. Because people do have short memories, especially in America.
Right, but you need at least some time for Kamala to build steam for her campaign. To build some steam,
too, which is why now I'm saying
they're not going to back up RFK.
Now would be the time for Biden to resign if he was going to do it, but they're not.
He won't.
Doing that too close to the election.
He's for the family, man.
Yeah. But doing that too close to the election, that's going to have massive repercussions.
Correct.
You're pretty much you're actually committing election suicide at that point.
Correct.
Do that. So now would be the time to do it. But I mean, he's already announced his intention to run again, so that's not changing. I mean, I don't think he's going to resign. I'm not seeing that.
I don't think so either. I was just wanted to bring up the question.
Yeah. No,
so I think it ties into what's going on with Trump. I mean, Trump's going to be old when he goes into second term, dude. If he makes it, he's going to be old.
Mentally, much
more fit,
younger,
more fit. But that doesn't, in my head, make it any more calming. The fact that we have really an octogenarian going into office.
It doesn't really bother me.
If
it's going to be Trump who's not showing his age as much as Biden is. Now, if he starts showing a cognitive decline to the extent that Biden has, then
you're talking about a different human being.
I have an issue with that regardless of political party.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my problem with the whole thing is I don't want either of those guys in there. Yeah, I want someone that's more up for the job mentally, physically, and just in every way, shape, or form, and is not dirty at all. I don't want any mud on you. I want someone fresh slate.
Well, when you think about it, what legitimate mud?
It all comes from the mud factory on the other side.
On Trump.
It all comes from the mud factory on the other side.
Like, you can make arguments that he's acted unethically, which is
the document stuff is the only thing that I've seen so far that has merit.
That maybe
because he just acted like an idiot,
ethically or legally.
No, just legally. He acted like an idiot and took the stuff that he shouldn't have taken and refused to give it back when requested and avoided all loopholes and lied, and that's where you get in trouble. I
don't know if he was asked to return all of it.
Mm-hmm. And he was asked, and his counsel was providing information that it was either on its way or it had been lost, and in fact it had been at Mar-a-Lago. So
maybe it was lost.
Or there is alleged clear evidence. Obviously, this stuff would have to go in front of a court
what's the alleged clear evidence?
That's it. That there was mishandling. That they have proof of mishandling of his documents in his residence, stuff that he reportedly refused, but really oh, that stuff? I don't have that stuff. What are you talking about? When he full well knew it was in his basement.
Well, maybe he didn't. With the amount of
it's
logistics involved with moving out of a White House like that,
but
something like that could fall through.
It's possible, but he's on tape talking about it, so it's hard to so it's hard to talk. There's a lot of different linking stuff, and there's a lot of like I said, allegedly, you need to see it in front of a court so that the evidence is fully presented. So it's stuff.
Well, if you need links to try and get merit on something, that shows you right there how weak it is. But
realistically, he did the same thing that a Biden or a Clinton already did and took stuff home.
And that's exactly where I was going next. So
that's the political question. Legally, he did do something wrong.
He did do something wrong, yeah, and this is where we're going to make the distinction.
Correct.
If he legally committed a crime,
Correct.
so did Obama.
The biggest one that you point to
Bush.
is the biggest one you point
So
to
is
is
Clinton.
Clinton. The biggest one you point to is
So
Clinton
was the
with
Bush
bleach
before
pit.
him.
Yes. All of them
And
are
so was
guilty.
Reagan.
But the most provable one that was in front of the American public that they just washed away was Clinton.
Yeah.
There's a direct comparison, and he's even on tape saying it'd be real fun to do
Just
what
like Trump
Clinton
was.
did. No, but Trump was on tape saying real fun to do what Clinton got away with.
Yeah.
Like, and that's in this subpoena. Like,
Yeah.
it's in
Oh, yeah.
in the document. So all I'm saying is legally,
Maybe that. And that's
legally,
a fair
my
point.
opinion, it's all allegedly. So
Fair
you
point.
need it to be proven, but it looks like he's fried. Like, he absolutely committed the crime that they're saying in the documents case. I'm not talking about anything else. But outside of that,
outside of the documents case.
Yeah.
But even with the documents
that
case,
doesn't
every president
mean
has committed that horrid
correct.
crime.
But that doesn't mean that you prosecute him for that. And obviously, what carries along with that, or at least I hope I don't have to say obviously, but obviously, is the rest of the stuff that's coming up whole cloth out of a lot of investigations that came previously that are dead ends. That stuff is unethical.
Yeah.
That's
Could be.
just unethical.
Yeah.
And you're starting to get that look of like Banana Republic style, where you're each one that gets elected goes after the one that just came out.
Well, speaking of Banana Republic, speaking to the point of what we were discussing earlier of why are they doing this? Why are they prosecuting him and not the others? Just think about it.
Well, someone has control of the levers of power, right? And that's something
It's
I was
because they
talking
don't
about.
want him back in
That's
power.
something I was talking about a lot with Faison, and I think that's a huge point.
They don't want him back in power,
Yeah.
and that's the only reason he's being prosecuted for this. That is
So-
the only reason.
You think, at this point, you think that do you think he's the best candidate for 2024, in your opinion?
For the Republican side,
No, in general.
yeah, it's, there's a lot. There is a lot to that question. Overall, I want to say yes with like
Okay.
a 60-40, certainty. Like I'm a little over halfway, like sure that yes, he is the best at this particular point in time, and I say that just because of the almost in a way incumbency advantage. Like he never went.
of what he
It's
proved.
almost like he was in a way because of the media
Right.
that he's gotten.
Do you
He's
think
almost
that-
been in the news. He's been in the news every day.
He's
They
been in
talk
the
about
news
him.
every day
So
now.
in a
Yeah.
way, that's almost like an incumbency advantage that he does have.
Correct.
He has the name recognition.
Yeah.
He has a very, very strong base still.
But you're looking at him politically, though. But I'm asking
Yeah.
just your opinion based. Like, remove the point of like winning aside. Like you put forth the best candidate. Have you seen anybody that goes above him?
There's again, that's hard too because there's only one.
Like, have
Trump.
you heard that guy Vivek?
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I like him a lot too.
I like him a
I
lot.
would say like he is well more fit to run the country,
I would say,
and
so
I would
too.
rather try him than Trump at this
the
point.
thing,
That doesn't mean he's gonna.
personality-wise, sure.
But that doesn't mean he's
Just
gonna.
he's he's intellectually energized. He's one of those like Trump who doesn't seem to get tired. He's clear.
Right.
He's concise. So maybe in some ways that's an advantage over Trump. But Trump, the way he speaks, is not as intellectual or sophisticated because that's just
Well, it's
more.
also a little bit more combative,
He's
and
blunt
it
and to the
can-
point,
It can gain a lot if you're combative.
and
too.
that's what I like.
yeah. A
that's-
lot of people like that.
That's
too.
part of what I like
Yeah.
about him. So
Yeah.
Vivek doesn't have that as much. He's still very firm. He's still very, very intellectual.
Well, he's firm and he's intellectually backed. He
Yeah,
backs
yeah.
it up more with intelligence rather than
Intelligence
with
with
brute.
force, exactly. So that's the difference between him and Trump, and I think, they're complementary approaches. Almost like he would be a good vice presidential candidate because he brings the intellect, Trump brings the bruteness, and the just the boldness and the strength.
And what about
And
RFK?
power. I like RFK.
I like him a lot. Have you heard him? Did you hear him speak on JRE? It was good.
No, I did not listen to it.
Oh, dude. So I only saw clips of him. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. It sounds too good to be true. Like, listen to, I think it was 2.5 hours on Rogan. actually heard him talk, and it's he's got whatever his speech issue is that it's tough for him to totally get out. Yeah, it sounds like he's. But listen, if you can, once you're 30 minutes in, you start to forget about that. You're listening to the content. Obviously.
Oh yeah, you're listening to the.
You're way past. It's like listening to a harsh British accent.
No, I've listened to him.
Yeah.
I just haven't watched the Jerry episode.
It exposed me to the fact that he can very well defend his positions and go in many directions if asked random questions like we're doing right here. Yeah. And he can handle that scenario, and it's just interesting. I'm not saying that he would be better than Trump, but what I am saying is, as a candidate, if you need something that's not Trump, but you're not voting Biden, it's at least seems like he's for America. And that's at the heart of it. That's what matters the most.
I don't know why he calls himself a Democrat.
I think he does it just to stay true to his blood, like quite literally.
Probably. I think so.
Like he's
that's strictly a semantic.
But he's too proud of what his idea of what a Democrat
used to be.
He's too proud of it, and he stands for it too much, and I think that's why.
I agree,
to be fair, like that's a hill to die on for him, and like. It's not a bad hill to die on.
He's going to be the only one. He's going to be the only one.
But it's not a bad hill to die on.
No, it's not. Because
like it's not like he's
the last pathway to what the Democratic Party used to be.
Right.
Him and Joe Manchin, I would say, are the only two who
but
haven't
they
switched
can
parties yet.
You can at least have someone look up to that. I think if he follows through with the campaign, even if he loses, and he can be dignified in that. But what really is going to happen that the media is scared of is because they will not support him.
No. Oh, just like Trump in 2016.
The media will not support him, which is weird, though, because in 2016, the media did prop up Trump for a bit. And then they, of course, started going after him hard when he was starting to get
I don't know
closer.
if they propped him up, but they just kind of laughed.
They
laughed him.
Correct.
They always gave him airtime.
Correct.
It's just a matter of whether or not it was them laughing at him, like when he first announced his presidency.
No, but they
versus the one they saw him building momentum.
But they would directly
have
him on
attacking
shows.
him.
They would actually directly have him on shows, on interviews as much as they could, and then they started reeling back from that as he started becoming more clear-cut, more candidate, and it became more of a sling rather than like
RFK is none of that. And what's interesting?
No, they're staying 20 feet away.
Oh yeah,
they don't want to touch him with a 10-feet pole. They want to act like he doesn't exist. They're like, who is that guy?
Well, maybe they learned their lesson from the 2016 cycle, and while Trump was president.
I think what they know is they need to commit so hard to Biden or else they're done. Like he's going.
Well, that's part of what I'm saying. Is
he's going to gain popularity like that if he gets on.
But that's what I'm saying is that it goes back to the saying, which was the point I was trying to get to, is that there's no such thing as bad press. There's no such thing as bad airtime. And why I was saying they might have learned their lesson from Trump in 2016 is because once Trump's media attention from that 2016 election cycle all through his presidency, once that became like them attacking him instead of just like laughing at him, that seemed to strengthen him. There was almost nothing positive about Trump on the mainstream media.
Yep.
What was that?
Pure opposition.
Oh,
no, there was making that.
Yeah. No, there was nothing positive about him, overwhelmingly speaking, in the mainstream media during that election.
No, unless you're talking about Fox.
Exactly, but that was the only one. And, a lot of people really don't and didn't trust Fox. But that proved that just because they were, like, overtly trying to, like, demote Trump and not promote him and, like, try and, like, help hand Hillary the presidency, that didn't work. So they may have learned their lesson that, well, putting this guy on TV is not going to help him.
Not for their
Giving him the
interests.
airtime is still helping him regardless. So maybe that's why, back to RFK, they're staying 20 feet away from him.
Just call him a conspiracy theorist.
Exactly. But even that is like, you're giving him airtime. If you just don't talk about him at all, people don't know his name.
That's how I feel about it. There's no good way about it in the internet age.
There's not.
Once your name is spoken on that TV, like that's it.
But then where else do people talk? Social media. And that's where you can start to make arguments about potential censorship coming into play.
Right.
Algorithms not, suggesting things or whatever.
I think that goes into the next conversation we want to have, and how invasive is tech going to get into our lives in general? Like, you're seeing this new innovation with AI. AI is taking over almost every industry.
Yeah.
At least when we're talking, I think we even talked about it last time we talked, and it's advanced miles ahead. But,
From when we last talked, too, yeah.
right. But how are you feeling about that portion as well, tying back in?
It's interesting. I think AI in general is a double-edged sword. I think it really needs to be harnessed so that we're using it positively and efficiently and not in a negative or maladaptive way or a way that puts others at, an unfair disadvantage.
Absolutely. Yep. And I think making it so like you don't have gate access to certain communities that can get it, and then you start having to fish down rabbit holes.
Yeah,
when,
exactly.
When it's clear, like if I had gotten in early enough or paid enough money, I would have access to the same stuff you do.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it should be a level playing field in that regard. But as far as how far big tech gets into our life, I find it very invasive the way it is now, and I don't see that improving.
I don't see how it could get any better than how it is.
So what does encourage me is that there does seem to be a lot of talk about and concern expressed for privacy on the internet recently. Just in general, like people seem to be more aware of what Facebook and Google and YouTube track, collect, even your iPhone, especially your iPhone. People seem to be much more aware and concerned with that now. And, people aren't going full conspiracy theory on it, but people just, it could be something as simple as they don't want their internal data being, like, their internal
just
device
out
storage.
and sent to everybody.
Or no, just like their device storage, storing that stuff to send to Google or Apple or Facebook or whatever. Like, after a while, that could take up a lot of space on your device. So it's like, I know I don't want that. And then, there's a lot of other people that are concerned with that too. But other people are just like, well, why does Mark Zuckerberg need to know this? Or why does Bill Gates need to know that? And like I said, they're not going full conspiracy theory, but, they're asking questions.
I think it's fair.
I've noticed people are like actually starting to ask more questions about it. It's kind of what I'm getting to.
Let me change this before we jump on. So with AI, weird question. How many people do you think are aligned to their boss about using AI so that they can basically keep their job or keep their hours up?
Probably everyone who says no. Honestly. But I really
think it's a good number?
Attention.
You think it's a good number?
Oh,
Or you
yeah.
think they're trying to collaborate with their boss and try to make it? Like, if I know
Well,
people that work in offices well enough, or people that work in that environment, like they found out about AI months ago, maybe even years ago, they're making it work for them, and they're just
sitting back. So I don't really follow corporate and all that. So are there?
I don't either.
Are there people like bosses saying that you can't use AI
I don't know.
for this?
That's why it's totally hypothetical. I was curious if you think what you would think.
If from the perspective of an employer, I'd be fucking pissed.
Right.
If I was paying you.
Oh, you'd be.
And
to
do that,
you're getting
I'm paying you like 3 times more what I should be because you're using, a quarter or a third of the time that.
But what if it makes them more productive though?
Well, it certainly could.
But
that also.
What if he made himself so productive? This is why I wanted to have this conversation.
But you're not being productive if you have downtime, that much downtime.
But he's been working with it so long, he's got it set where it does all his work for him.
Well, then do more work. And that's when
he
you
does
increase
already.
your productivity.
But he does already. He does increase productivity.
But you're not increasing productivity if you don't do more work.
Computer's doing it for him. AI.
Well, you're still going to have to program something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just watching it ride.
Well, you can't just watch it. You can't watch it ride constantly.
Dude, I'm just messing with you.
I know. But it's an interesting cycle to talk about because
you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying.
Especially if
you're going to have to keep adding to it. So
I do think
you could certainly do more tasks, but you're going to have to kind of keep hands on.
What I will say is, and in the experience that I've had so far working a few different jobs, there are definitely people who are well overqualified for their job, and they.
Oh yeah.
In one of the key, I stuttered really bad. One of the key aspects of that is like IT, guys who are so qualified with their coding skills or their ability to fix whatever. They do whatever they have to do in 5-10 minutes, maybe even make it look like it took them longer.
No.
And meanwhile, they're back building $1 million businesses or helping $1 million businesses on their off time.
Making some real money.
Yeah, on company off time though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like that is something that I have. That is something that I have seen, and I do think that. I don't know. As a business owner, how upset can you get? I will say when you talk to.
But that's I only talked about that perspective yet. From the employee perspective, we didn't even get there yet. Sure, but
when you talk about it from the employer,
you can only get so
perspective,
upset.
That was what came out of my conversation going higher up the ladder.
But
basically,
if you're in the process of sitting there watching it do something, I'll consider that productive time.
Right.
But if say there was
that's
like
interesting. That's an interesting take. Okay. But if you're taking your total attention away from screen, basically.
Well, if it's not doing something that you told it to do,
yeah.
I wouldn't say that's productive time. But say if I give
if
I give you a project to do today, and then so say without AI,
right?
One project would normally take 1 day, say, right?
Sure.
If I say, oh, okay, tomorrow you need to get X amount done.
Mm-hmm.
If once you get X amount done, after that, when you could be doing more, if I'm paying you and you're doing nothing, that's when I'll have an issue.
So here's what I'm talking about before we move on, because we should. But you built code, not even AI, because at this point AI is just code. But
yeah,
you built code 5 years ago. That code today is doing your recurring tasks today, right now.
Yeah.
While you sit on your phone and scroll, but it's doing the same work your coworker is doing, typing right now.
Yeah.
You deserve to be fired while you're getting more.
Why would you deserve to be fired?
That's what I'm saying to you.
You would.
You're away from screen. You're not paying attention.
No.
But
it depends on what the computer's doing.
But what you put in 5 years ago is still working its way up.
Well, you're going to have other things to do.
But you're just scrolling, looking at TIDs.
No, because
that's what I'm.
You have no, because like I was saying, you can have recurrent things,
right?
But then, like I was saying before, it should open up your time to be able to do more,
right?
So if you just have one, and that's what I'm saying, if you just have one recurrent thing to do every day, and you have that kind of downtime,
maybe it's 17 different, but he built 17 recurring bots,
and then you'll therefore have more to do every day.
Okay. So you're fine with it. Realistically, at the end of the day, if he built bots that good, you're fine with it.
It depends if
they got the tasks done.
If you get the tasks done that we need done.
Yeah.
In the day.
And then you wouldn't mind if he's sitting back watching his robots do work, watching TID.
If if everything we have is built, then sure.
I love it. Next.
That's actually an interesting conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I got to the bottom of your brain.
Took a little digging. Yeah, I know. Something to think, because there's a difference to me, like I was saying, between sitting there with this doing nothing.
Right.
Like if say it takes you 6 hours to do what you would normally do in an 8-hour day, and for the last 2 hours you're sitting there and nothing's going on, that's when I'll have an issue.
Right, but I understand what you're saying. Totally different. Totally different than what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what you built up years ago is
as long as it still works, but you're going to have other shit to do is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. Or maybe you're just playing it off. That's what I'm saying. You might have...
Well, at that point, from an employer's perspective, a boss is going to figure that out and say, okay, thanks.
You hope so. A lot of them wouldn't.
Why not?
I don't think a lot of them would figure it out or care to figure out because their employee's productive enough for their pay rate.
Well, at that point, that
makes sense.
employee, it's not the employee doing the work. The employee doesn't own the rights to that code.
It's making it make money for him now.
It doesn't matter.
I argue completely on his rights until that employer fires him. Basically. And if it's on a company computer, no, it's not his code. I'm all for it. I agree.
Company computer or not, if you're doing the task for the company, it's still not. It could be my Mac. Still don't think it's his code if he's using it like a company email or whatever.
Yeah.
No, if he's not being productive, meaning if there's time where he could be building something else while everything else is running in the background, yeah.
Theoretically.
He should. So basically, if he finishes today's work
Yes.
at 2 o'clock,
Yes.
he should be using the last 3 hours to start tomorrow's work, is basically what I'm saying.
Right. And start building up.
And that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Start building up that.
Yeah, and then start compounding. So right, so then the next day you'll have, you'll finish that 3 hours and move on to day two.
Another
finish
project.
that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So while that's running, so if
You're
there's,
talking about being a productive human being, my brother.
So if there's
I love
definitely if there's nothing there, I say go for it.
Fucking love it. Next part, dude. I'll be honest with you. Randomly generated a list.
Yeah.
See what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, that's it.
I kind of perused it before just to make sure. But what we had first, at least on my list here, so climate change that's been going on, the talks at least have been going on for years. Okay?
Or some form of it, yeah.
Now, what I want to talk about is specifically how it's hitting us in New Jersey, or at least us in the industry I'm around all the time. So, you know that they've passed bills that are at least going into effect in 2024, where basically all small equipment has to be battery powered now.
Interesting.
Yeah. So stuff that's homeowner bought, I believe, like if it's like grandfathered in, but if it's business use, it has to be battery powered. They might have pushed it back, but it was originally 2024 that was voted in, I believe, in 2021. So
was that the same bill where gas stoves are going to be banned by like 20?
No, that's a new bill. This is stuff that's like finally coming up.
Oh, that was already
originally with when Murphy was like originally passing that slew of dog shit after he got voted in that time.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So my question to you is, so now climate change is coming in, and not in the way that we thought. It's coming to affect our lives, at least daily life. For us, we're gonna, at least in California, move from New Jersey for a sec. California, you're not gonna be able to buy a gas car in, I believe, 8 years.
Yeah.
Now.
Yep.
What kind of ramifications are you looking at for the economy, or at least how do you look at it? Do you see it as a negative, as a positive? We're not enlightened. We're not super smart individuals, but we're both kind of in the trades. What do you think?
I'd say that's a fair estimate. Have that trade mentality.
Yeah.
First, I want to start by saying that is very invasive legislation that New Jersey has apparently passed. I don't like that one bit. And that kind of drastic change, funny enough, while you were talking, I was going to say this. But so basically what I'm saying is that the legislation regarding climate change and like what it's supposed to be representing, it's affecting us more than actual climate change itself.
That's where I was getting.
Yeah.
That's basically exactly where I was getting. And that's what I want to start bringing up with the show, because now that it's hitting us, like, we're not looking at climate change. To me, like, our July has been pretty light. Like, our August is not 95 and dying outside. It's
and our
like
winters
89.
Have still been cold.
Yeah, not a lot of snow, but cold.
Cold and not a lot of snow.
And our rain's coming in the winter, or in the rain's coming in the summer.
So I mean, it's certainly true now that the legislation and all the laws that are going to be passed are going to affect us more than climate change actually is going to affect us. Like the laws for climate change are going to affect us, our everyday life, more than climate change is going to affect our everyday life, regardless of how many times they try to sell the narrative that don't buy a house on the coast or whatever it may be.
Let's think a little more logistically, though. You think the grid's even going to be able to take that load?
What load?
So additional electric vehicles within the next 10 years, it's going to be mandated.
Well, it is going to be mandated.
And then every single small engine is now going to be, instead of gas, is going to be electric.
Have to be battery powered. So, in short, no. There's no way. The way the infrastructure's structured
set up now?
No, there's no way that the power grid would be able to take that sort of demand without failing.
What are you going to put more stress on? Are you going to put more stress on renewables, or are you going to put more stress on?
You mean emphasize renewables or
No, I'm saying if you tap the energy grid to its limit,
Yeah.
I'm asking you a question that I already know the answer to.
What's the question?
The question is, what type of fuel are you going to start using more of? Or what type of energy are you start using more of? Renewable?
You're going to have to start using more renewables, which is what they
Not
want to
renewable.
say.
No.
Not renewable. Wind, solar, geothermal.
Well, that stuff's not going to push it. You're going to have to start burning more coal.
You're going to start burning. You're going to have to push everything to the max in order to.
You're going to be opening up all this stuff.
Well, they're going to do everything but dig coal or oil.
Inevitably, you're going to run out of materials. You're not going to be able to build these. You're not going to be able to build all of these solar panels. You're not going to build all of these wind turbines without having
the materials to do so. I agree.
And getting access to that energy and that power.
I agree.
And you're going to need to do so via fossil fuels. At the end of the day,
or create an illusion that
you could do that too.
That non-renewable or renewables are the only way forward. And
well, that's what they're trying.
Yeah, because they're trying to emphasize it. So
right, but what happens
they're
when
going to try
fails?
And suppress coal, and they're not going to do coal.
What happens when that fails? Because it fails. It can't.
It can't. I agree.
Right. So working in a solar company, this before we go take a break, working in a solar company, what they'll always fail to talk about is the fact that you have a massive difference between the amount of power you're going to produce in the summer months to the months during the winter or even the fall. Yeah. So you have that decreasing amount of power, and where is that going to come from? When you start, like anything, when numbers get big, when a city gets big, what do you start doing? You start estimating based on numbers, right? So the numbers need to be good and factual.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about expanding for this community, okay, well, we're going to have to allocate for enough electricity for X citizens. Yep. What does that mean? We're going to have to put this much more stress on the grid.
Yeah.
Well, if 7 months out of the year you get X sun and the rest you get Y sun, right? You're not factoring in all of the rest that has to go into it, right? So what happens during, that 5 month period where you have 60 to 40% less sun?
Well, you would supplement with other ways.
Correct, which mostly would have to be fossil fuels, right?
In reality, yeah, sure, but I think they want to probably create an illusion where, oh no, we just need to build more solar in order to create
just
the
build more,
surplus.
But where? And it's getting so horrendously ugly.
I agree. But
that's where
what they're going to try and say.
But that's where I think
in a perfect world,
that's where I think our public is getting to now.
Yeah.
I think everybody's starting to say, well, what the hell is that? You're going to rip off a whole mountainside of trees.
But no, there's people that still think it's a great
thing. I agree.
Trust me.
I agree.
You drive around, there's climate signs everywhere.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
The ideal world, and I'm not against renewables. Mm-hmm. I'm not against them at all. I encourage them. I want them to be here. They're very valuable. But, we just got to do it.
Well, do it smart. And also don't avoid nuclear, I think, is the biggest question.
That's another one, too. And that's one of the renewables I was talking about. But I think it should be a supply of everything. It should be fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas, and then also supplementing with wind, solar, geothermal, nuclear. If by having our power come from all those sources, it'll make energy cheaper.
Start spreading out.
Yeah.
Give it a little bit more supply. I agree. All right, brother. Let's move on. Take a little break.
All right. Yes, we were.
That at least brings me right into the next part, which is, do you think that we've been hearing about infrastructure reform for the past, I would say even through Trump, through Biden, through Biden, through Trump, through Obama. I think through Bush too. Infrastructure has always been just a word floated around. There's always been a lot of money allocated to it. I don't know about you, but I go Route 80 all the time, and it's always carved up.
Yeah.
Roadwork signs out the ass.
Yep.
I think, at least can we agree, I hope some of this money actually starts showing up in the at least the electricity market.
Yeah.
We need to see a better investment on our electric grid, especially if you're going to keep forcing all of this legislation down on us.
To create more demand in the power grid.
You have to, and if you're not, you're going to have to start supplying a lot of rebates for getting this equipment that you're going to force us to buy. You're going to have to give us a lot of rebates, and when the equipment fails. Sorry, had to skip that.
Another big
We'll just
reason I
act
got
like that
off is
didn't
because,
happen.
like, our
We'll just act like that didn't happen. But, so yeah, you're in agreement. You hope that they can give a little bit of money into this. Have you seen any infrastructure, like, actually coming into, like, your town or, like, big investments on roadways around you that actually turned out good? Like,
So public infrastructure, not really. I mean, especially in New Jersey here, there's always road construction. So that, kind of causes, I mean, more of a need for infrastructure, but no.
because the way that I've been driving the roads, I'm sure you saw it coming in the Montville, the whole main road is ripped to shit.
Yep. Yeah.
Sucks
I
driving.
mean, actually,
every day.
right outside my house, they were digging holes and like putting new gas lines in today.
It
So
sucks driving in New Jersey every day,
does.
dude. And it's like, I hope you guys are like partially at fault for some of the damage you're causing our vehicles. At least it's getting ridiculous, dude. I don't know. Other than that, did you have much else that you want to talk about? Other stuff that I had on our sheet is stuff that I've belabored so much. Like, I don't even want to talk about.
yeah, we don't got to bore people with the repeats.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do want to talk about is, did you get to see Sound of Freedom? So I got
No.
to talk about it on my solo show, but I didn't get to talk about it with anybody. You didn't get to see it at all?
Didn't see it.
Are you
Don't
going
know
to
what
see
it's
it?
about.
Are you going to see it?
I don't know. I don't really go to the movies.
Oh, I wouldn't go. I would wait for it,
That's
To
what I usually
come to
do, too.
stream.
Yeah.
but you might watch it. So I'm not going to spoil anything.
I hear about it, and like everyone's like, "Oh, Sound of Freedom, Sound of Freedom." So I don't know. What is it like?
Oh, it's just, I think it documents.
Like the United States Revolution?
No.
Sounds like a.
It deals a lot with the human trafficking issue that's going on now. And it basically explains how most of the operation today is working, how it's become a slavery operation, how there's more slaves today than any moment in human history. And
That's unbelievable.
yeah, so I think it's a movie worth watching and a movie worth spreading. And the fact that you don't even know what the idea is about, and you're a conservative leading person, at least that I know, yeah, it goes to show, like, there's a lot of people still out there that don't know about this movie or what kind of impact it's having and can have. So I highly suggest at least recommending it to people that are not so aware of how bad the situation is across the border.
This is gonna be a Netflix and chill kind of movie.
Well, I took Gia, but that doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, but it was a movie that you like vibe to, and like shit kind of goes down with your girl. She's like, "Oh fuck."
I'm telling you that
Or is this not the movie
it's
for that?
not the movie for that.
Not
There's a lot of
cuddly-
pedophilia.
Well, I mean,
But you'll get
what if
you'll
she's
get
into
cuddly.
that?
No, you'll get cuddly. Okay. Well, then yeah.
Well,
then
or
you.
what if
then
you're
that's
into
the one
that
for
and
you.
you're using her as a scapegoat to do stuff?
Then
while-
the movie's for you. There's some fucked up stuff. There's
how do we
fucked
know
up
it's
stuff.
real?
Huh?
How do we know?
Well, the whole
these aren't just wackos saying
the whole
this shit.
story is Disneyed. The
So
whole
it's fake.
No, it's based on the whole thing is actually true, but the two kids they decided to make up obviously were anonymous, that they made up a story that sounded good. That makes sense. The whole operation, the guy, I don't know if he was Homeland. That guy is real. His whole operation, that was real. The sting, that was real. There's pictures of it. Like, but the two kids, like the love story that you end up like, oh, that was such a, like, those two kids are heroes. That was all fake. Like, the one thing that's real is the part that I cared about, which is the detective that went out of his way, that pushed boundaries to try to infiltrate the operation. That was all real. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably when it comes out on streaming.
I
Sounds
highly
like something I'll
recommend it.
be like interested
So
in seeing.
the story behind that, before we move on to anything else, the story behind that is that Disney had that movie years ago, and they didn't want to publish it
Really?
for themselves. Yeah, they sold the rights or just dropped it. Yeah, it
Interesting.
was filmed and everything.
You wonder why Disney would want to suppress that.
Well,
They probably know things. They might be
we don't
involved.
say things here on the regular podcast here, my friend.
They don't know.
We don't say things here on the regular podcast. I mean, dude, I didn't really have anything else that I wanted to talk about today. I got most of it off my chest. It was fun having me back in here. How do you like
Thank
the
you.
studio so far?
It's looking great.
Yeah?
Better every time.
Every single time.
Feeling more like home.
More like home?
More like home.
All right, dude. Well, I think we got a little bit of work to get done.
I think so.
Let's go make it happen.
Let's do it. Great one.
All right, brother.
Make all these bitches say, damn, I wish I were the fucking state. I wanna be something, not nothing. Trapped inside my dream and I'm running away from these demons. But the feeling's so good, I'ma keep dreaming.